guys, it is April from Getting HUGO with It. Today I'm doing another round of if you like this book, I think you'll like this book. So let's get right into it. Warning, I am filming with a baby right beside me. She seems okay, very friendly at the moment, but this could all turn at a moment's notice, though. Just letting you know that there might be some cooing and maybe screaming, crying in the background of this video. I'll try to contain it. So first up is a Booktube Darling, and it's The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This follows a Hollywood actress in the 30s, 50s. I have read this, I promise. And it follows her many husbands and her climb to fame. Now in this book she is telling her story to a very young journalist, and she's really kept it under wraps for many, many years, but she decides to tell her story finally. She's in her 80s and you go back in time finding out Evelyn's past. So if you like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I really think that you would like The 13th Tale. This is slightly more gothic, I would say, but this also follows a very old woman who is a prolific writer. She has had multiple interviews and she hasn't told anyone her story properly. She's lied about her story multiple times. She's finally decided to sit down with a woman who has told biographies and she's written them before, but they haven't been very well known. And she's decided to tell her tale to this woman. The reason that I think these two go so well together is, firstly, very unlikable characters for the most part. She's a cranky old woman and she's a cranky old woman. And of course, both of them have these stories that have not been told that are suddenly being told by writers who don't really have a huge background in writing. They're like newbies, basically. And also the main characters have both lied about their lives for many, many years, and you are dipping into the truth finally. Now that they are both in the, season of their life that they're in, they're ready to tell their tale, and it's always juicy. Next is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. This follows a couple that seem to have a very good marriage until Amy goes missing. And all fingers point to Nick, her husband, but what's really going on in this marriage? I loved this book. So if you liked Gone Girl, I actually have 2 suggestions for you. First up is My Cousin Rachel. So My Cousin Rachel follows 2 cousins. They are attached at the hip. Essentially, one has raised the other. They're both male. One of them is kind of ill, not in the best of health, and so the doctors suggest that he goes away to like a more summery climate, basically, and he goes there, meets a woman named Rachel, and then promptly dies. She comes to visit the home that she was supposed to essentially live at with her new husband, and meets the cousin, Philip. And Philip is, of course, very concerned and confused about this woman. He's wondering if she has something to do with his beloved cousin's death. Who is Rachel? And you get the same kind of vibe with Gone Girl. Who is Amy? And you are trying to decipher who in the world she is until the very last page, basically. And I just think that if you liked Gone Girl, you will like My Cousin Rachel. Of course, My Cousin Rachel was written many, many years before Gone Girl, but yeah, I would say Daphne du Maurier is kind of the godmother of thrillers. Is that accurate? I think so. I also think that if you liked Gone Girl, you will also like I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. So this book is similar in many ways to Gone Girl because you've got a spouse that has disappeared. In this book, we follow Amy, another Amy, and she is an actress, but nobody really knows her fully. Her husband goes missing and all eyes point to her. So you've got another spouse missing, and again, the spouse is being looked at. So she is looked at. So it's kind of the flip side of the coin. But yes, and it's all sorts of twists and turns. So if you like Gone Girl, I think you should check out I Know Who You Are as well. Although this dives into her childhood in a way that Gone Girl doesn't go quite as far. So there are multiple kind of angles in this one. Next is another, I think, Booktube Darling. This is a hard-hitting thriller. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This is about a woman whose husband dies very suddenly. They're out for dinner and he dies. She goes home. His business associate asks her for something on his computer, and she is rummaging around on his computer and she finds things there that make her wonder if she ever knew her husband whatsoever, and it dives into his past and her past, and it's so good but brutal. Now, if you liked Pretty Girls, I think that you should read Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane. In this book, you follow a mother who drives home with her 2 kids in the back. Someone has, like, I don't know if it was drunk driving or what, but they've like ran into the garage. Now, she never goes into the garage because it's her husband's like woodworking area. Unfortunately, her husband's been quite busy at murdering young women in the garage, in actuality. In both of these books, you have graphic violence. Like, seriously, I would not recommend either of these if you are squeamish or if you don't really read horror. These aren't horror, but they're the most gritty thrillers I think I've read. And in both of them, you have these 2 wives finding out that their husbands are these brutal, brutal men. And they're terrified of these men. And also, it makes them rethink their entire lives. Were their lives completely a lie? Okay, last one. But we have to talk about Educated by Tara Westover. This is about a woman. It's a biography, an autobiography, I should say, of this woman who had a very difficult childhood. She had parents who were quite eccentric. Her mom was a midwife, and her dad, I don't really know, he like worked at a junkyard basically on his property. Her father did not believe in education really. He didn't really believe in the healthcare system either. So if you got hurt, if you were in a car accident, like this happens in the story, there's a car accident, nobody goes to the hospital for a really long time. And anyway, she is also subject to abuse at home. It's just this very dysfunctional family and just a really difficult way of growing up. Similarly, I would say Jeanette Walls had a very difficult time growing up. This is The Glass Castle, so I think if you liked Educated, you should read The Glass Castle. And this is about a woman who has very eccentric parents. I would say her parents really did care about her a lot more than in Educated, but they were very eccentric and did not provide a stable way to grow up. There was a lot of neglect here, which is a form of abuse, and she looks back at her life. Both of them are looking back. I think this is a little bit more I think for Tara Westover is a little bit more raw because she's quite young. I think she's my age. And in Jeanette Walls' case, she's a little bit older when she's writing this story about her life. And I just think that they are like such a perfect pair. So if you liked Educated, try The Glass Castle. So those are all of the books that I have to recommend to you today. I'm going to do a whole other video of if you like this, you'll like that, because I've got quite a few on my mind over the course of this year. I've come up with a few. So look out for that one, and I will talk with you soon. Bye, guys.